Hello, segment fans. This is Mark sitting here in producer mode with a couple of production notes. We had a fantastic time in this episode talking to Aaron and Bobbie Jo, talking all about Star Wars. But because there was 4 of us, it seems that the conversation went on a little bit longer. So we're actually splitting this episode into 2 parts. In this episode is the first part. You'll have corrections and feedback in the first segment, and then look out for the second episode that's going to have our What's Making Me Happy segment, as well as a fantastic Star Wars quiz that Aaron and Bobbie Jo cooked up for us. So there you go. Enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to Segments with Mark and Amber. Segments is a comedy podcast where in each episode, Amber and I choose a topic and talk about it in a variety of segments. My name is Mark, and with me, as always, is my co-host, my wife, the I love you to my I know, Amber.
Hello.
Hi, Amber.
How's it going?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. I'm excited. This is episode 27, and we are talking about Star Wars.
Yes.
It's been a while, so we're back at it. And this time we have some special guests. I'd like to introduce the Luke to my Leia, Aaron.
Oh, good one.
I'm Aaron, Amber's brother, and I would like to introduce the situation normal to my we're fine, we're all fine here now, thank you, how are you, Bobbie Jo.
Hello, I'm Bobbie Jo, and we're super excited to be here.
We are super excited to have you guys here. Welcome to the Palatial Segment Studios. Is it all you dreamed it would be?
It really is. I love it.
I'm so glad.
Longtime listeners of the show will remember that Aaron is one of my brothers who often offers us some intelligent corrections to our podcast. And Bobbie
AKA
Jo,
harsh critique.
Bobbie Jo are texting as she listens to every episode. Super fan. They are coming to us all the way from across the United States in Washington State.
Yeah, we are very excited that you guys came all this way just to record a podcast. That really worked out.
Yes.
And we slipped in a family vacation there.
We did. It was great.
Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. All right, Amber, did you say what we're talking about?
Star Wars.
We are talking about Star Wars. Amber thinks we talk about Star Wars too much, and I think we don't talk about Star Wars enough.
I mean, I love Star Wars. I just hope that our listeners are hanging in with us.
I think they are.
I think so, too.
So, Amber, what's the format of the show today?
Well, today we are going to have a top 5 Star Wars edition. We're going to revisit a segment that we did with our villains episode, wherein we do not have just a classic top 5, but instead we discuss our 5 top ones.
Our 5 top ones, a classic segment. That's going to be great. And I'm very excited that Aaron and Bobbie Jo have brought a quiz for us to play.
Oh, man. I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good, too. And we will finally see which one of us is the better person.
Ooh, we are pitted against each other.
We're pitted against each other for person.
For the first time.
Okay.
I think when it comes to the quiz, you can't set your expectations too high.
Okay. They just keep climbing. They've been climbing all week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we would expect no less. But first, before we get to that, Amber, we have some corrections and apologies and a little bit of feedback from our last episode.
Yeah, if you want to contact us or leave feedback.
Feedback? Here we go.
If you want to contact us or leave feedback, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook at SegmentsCast, or you can email us at segmentscast@gmail.com.
Absolutely. All right, Amber, what did we get for corrections and apologies this week?
Well, I think we've got 2. Your mother mentioned that you left out some details about your guitar playing hobby.
Yeah, she is correct. Okay, so what my mom said was that I made it sound like my freshman year of high school is the first time I ever picked up a guitar. And she said, well, didn't I pay for guitar lessons when you were a wee lad?
And drive you to them, and yeah.
in Delton. And I said, I didn't count that. and she did not like that.
That's risky.
It is risky. I do recall that very clearly. I remember the guitar had this really cool head on it. It was a very cool acoustic guitar. The action on it was too high, and it was a little bit challenging to play. But I remember sitting in this little living room somewhere in Delton, I think just east of Delton. And I guess I did have some previous experience there. So I will accept that correction. So sorry, Mom. The first time I picked up a guitar was in like second grade.
That was probably the birth of the hobby.
That was it. So thanks, Mom. And the other correction, I'm not sure this is a correction, more of
addendum.
An addendum. Thank you, Aaron.
Corrections, apologies, and addendums.
Oh man, is that Amber last week posited that if you had a team full of very short baseball players, that they would be great. I guess is that what you said, Amber?
They would get walked all the time. Their strike zone is very difficult to hit.
Yeah, and so I was talking to Adam, who is a baseball fan, and he said that actually would. I think he said it would actually work, and that one time in the 1950s there was a little person that got one at bat, I think, and when the bases were loaded. And they walked him, and somebody maybe won a game or something.
Just like I posited.
So well done, Amber. You could be a baseball coach if this segment thing doesn't work out.
I think it'd still be difficult the rest of the sport.
The rest of the sport, yeah, because they couldn't get, if the ball was flying out to left field, it would take them longer to get out there.
Yes.
So, I mean, there's pros and cons.
All right,
well, there you go. Corrections and apologies. We also got some feedback.
Yay.
So, Amber, why don't you kick us off with our feedback?
So our last episode was about hobbies and collections. And so we asked out on Facebook, what kind of hobbies and collections do our listeners have? So we heard back from Tori. She collects Christmas ornaments to remember memories and trips. That's a great idea because there's two good things about that. One is that you go to a souvenir shop and you think to yourself, I want to get something to remember this trip, but I don't need another tchotchke laying around the house.
Or maybe a small boat.
That's true, but how many of those do you have room for?
7.
So you get the Christmas ornament. That's one good thing. You know what to buy at the souvenir shop. The second good thing is you only need to get it out once a year. And it's okay to just pack your Christmas tree with all sorts of little tchotchkes. And it's fun, and you remember your trip, and then you just put it away, and it doesn't clutter up your house the whole year. So I think that might be brilliant. Tori, she said she's trying to collect enough so she can also give some to Esther and any future kiddos they have when they move out someday. So that is fun, too, that they'll be able to remember the trips that they took with their parents.
So you think we just went to Saugatuck, and do you think there were Christmas ornaments that said Saugatuck on them?
I mean, there was a Christmas shop. I'm assuming that some of them said Saugatuck. There was definitely some mittens with little hearts down by Saugatuck, like a Michigan mitten. Huh. So, I didn't see a lot, but I bet if you search hard enough, you can find them.
Just seems like if you go to most vacation spots, you're not going to find Christmas ornaments. But maybe I'm wrong. I've never looked for them.
Yeah, I wonder about that.
Can any little hanging tchotchke be a Christmas ornament, like a keychain or something? Could that work as a Christmas ornament?
That's a good question. So kind of a make-your-own Christmas ornament kind of a situation. Tori, let us know. We'd love to find out more about that.
She had a second one. She also uses chat books to collect pictures. I do not know what a chat book is. Do you, Bobbie Jo?
Yes. They are. I haven't done them yet, but I'm thinking about it. It lets you take your pictures from your phone, and you can put different hashtags on them. And then when you get a certain number, like you hit 100 or something, it says, we can send you a chat book. Do you want us to? And then you say yes, and it like takes all those pictures and sends them to you in a little book format.
Oh, that sounds great.
All bound up and ready to display.
And they're super cute and pretty small. So you can have a whole pile of them that isn't taking up a ton of space. So she's done really good things because that can be sitting out all the time and they can remember those trips.
Do you do it specifically like on Instagram or something with the hashtagging? Or you can just hashtag
I think it's an app.
Oh,
It's an app,
okay.
But then you can tell it where to get the pictures from.
Cool.
And so, like, I want Facebook pictures that have this hashtag.
Whoa, all right.
Interesting.
Where does the chat part of it come from?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Maybe you chat about them after you get your book.
Yeah, okay.
For sure.
Oh, I love that.
I am going to read a feedback now from Adam, who is my brother and also a friend of the show, assuming.
I think he is.
Assumably, presumably. So he collected baseball cards as a kid, and he also collects movies as an adult.
Can you corroborate that he did collect baseball cards
He
as a
did
kid?
collect. I don't know if collect is a strong enough word for what he did with baseball cards as a kid.
He had a ledge around the edge of his bedroom, and he would display his real cool cards on the ledge.
He had that. He would sort and resort his baseball cards in every different conceivable pattern. He would trade them. He
Binders
would
and
make
boxes.
hot lists of what his favorite baseball players were and organize different things by cost from price guides.
Wow.
And there's a lot involved with that.
Yes.
I don't think he does quite as much as the movies as an adult, but I don't know.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't have as much
I don't
time.
share a room with him anymore, so I don't know for sure.
I'm pretty sure he's got some spreadsheets and things involved with movies, so there might be something there.
Yeah, that's great.
Next up, we have friend of the show, Laura, who says she likes playing shuffleboard, playing pinochle, games with families, reading, and watching TV. Those are all hobbies.
She did ask to get euchre thrown in there. She's joined the rest of Michigan in playing euchre now as well.
That's great. What's confusing to me is she's never invited me to play pinochle, and it seems a little bit offensive, but whatever. So she's playing shuffleboard.
Be prepared for a correction and an apology next week.
Yes. Ready for that.
The opposite of what Mark said is true.
Okay, interesting. So
I
shuffleboard.
played like maybe hundreds of hours of pinochle.
Really?
It's super fun and loads of laughs. Yeah.
So what I like this idea of shuffleboard. I played shuffleboard as a young lad when I would go visit my grandma and grandpa in Florida.
Oh, yes.
At their wherever they lived in Florida, and my brother and we would get chased off by older people that said we shouldn't be playing there. But it was fun.
Oh no, this is my shuffleboard court. Go find your own place to play.
shuffleboard court.
I also played when my grandparents in the summer, they had a place they would camp at with this really big camper thing they had, and they had a shuffleboard court, and my cousin and I would play.
I get that it's a sport or something, a game that people who are older and maybe less mobile can still play.
Yeah.
But why is it only they're
Why is
allowed
it
to play
only them? Exactly. They don't own a monopoly on casual games of fun.
Didn't we have a game growing up, Aaron, that was like a shuffleboard idea with marble?
Yeah, it had like ball bearings inside
bearings.
of plastic discs that you would slide down a wooden board.
Yes. That was an intense piece of game.
All right. Well, Jerry and Pam Birch, they sent us some feedback, and they said that they collected they do collect green-handled kitchen utensils and potato mashers. And I thought that was very interesting that, why do you collect a green-handled thing as opposed to a red or a blue or a wood-handled, kitchen utensil? But Amber corrected me and said that is apparently an actual a brand. Is that a brand, Amber?
I don't know. It's an antique. When I Googled it first it was literally just showing like a Rubbermaid spatula with a green handle.
Which is exactly what
and
I thought we were talking
KitchenAid
about.
Wooden spoon that also was painted green. But there's green-handled kitchen utensils that people collect and sell on eBay. And so I think that's a thing all in of itself. And there's pictures. They look kind of old-fashioned, antique-y probably. So
Yeah.
I think
So
that
we
is
still
what they
do
collect.
need some clarification. Which one is it? Is it the Rubbermaid that happens to have a green handle, or is it this fancy antique green handle kitchen utensil?
Yeah. Barb, a friend of the show and mom of Mark, she has several hobbies. She's good at hobbies.
She's very good at hobbies.
She usually has several going, and she gets into them and applies a lot of time and energy to them. But she doesn't feel like she's tied to them. If she's ready to move on, she's ready to move on. So right now, her hobby is learning the banjo. She's getting really good.
Very good.
She is a camper. She likes camping and rock hunting. She looks for Petoskey stones and other fun stones way up by Lake Superior, and also reading.
Yeah, she's got a great rock tumbler, I guess is what you would call it, down
Yeah.
there. And periodically you can go to her place and you'll find this rolling canister with some sort of a grumbling rock in it.
There's also just beautifully shiny Petoskey stones.
Yes.
When you said she had a rock tumbler, I thought you meant she had a blog about
Oh, no.
the pictures
Yes,
of her
right.
rocks.
On Tumblr.
I don't know if she does or not, but I think that would
Somebody, no doubt,
There
has
should
a
be a
rock,
rock
tumbler.
tumbler,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sure it's out there.
Mom, you should look into that. So she's done calligraphy, she's painted, she's done I think if she's done anything else. Wood carving. She
Yeah,
was
for
huge in
sure.
wood carving for a while. So lots of hobbies coming from that lady.
Yep. A lot of things involving shellac.
Just everything you can think of involving shellac, all the shellac things. Friend of the show, Kathy Ricks, said that she, as a hobby, I suppose, is doing Zentangle.
What the heck is Zentangle?
It's pretty cool. It's just a system of doodling. You just kind of teach yourself these different patterns that you can doodle, and you can just create it anywhere. You can do a big one all over a sheet of paper if you want to, or you can just do some Zentangles, during a meeting.
Zentangle. Should I Google it right now?
Well, I Googled it earlier, but let's
Okay.
see. It's an easy-to-learn, relaxing, and fun way to create beautiful images by drawing structured patterns. Oh, Bobbie Jo's got some right up there. So it reminds me of like an adult coloring book, but you're creating the
So,
stuff.
okay. Well, I've never done anything as fancy as what Bobbie Jo is showing me right now, but like in class, I do that all the time. Just on the side of my notes, just draw little designs.
You usually make the guy with a big nose with the profile.
You should look into this, Mark. You
I
could
guess
have a
this-
side hobby while you're in class.
Yeah.
You could be making Zentangles.
a good
I feel like I
creative
already am. I wish I could show you guys some of my notes from some of my classes, but anyway, we'll do that later. Awesome.
So Kathy also collects decorative plates from places she visits.
Cool. Another one of those things that if you want to pick out a souvenir, it's good if you already have a collection
Yeah.
to build on.
Lacey said that she likes cake decorating.
She's very good. I've been to multiple showers and things that she did the cakes for, and she's very good.
That's great.
Lots of detail.
Arwen said that her hobbies are eating and sleeping.
She does have a probably 1.5-year-old, so I can understand that.
Absolutely. And she collects refrigerator magnets.
That's another good one.
That's
for
what
when
we've been
you're gonna
doing
go
lately
somewhere.
because it just sticks to your refrigerator if you don't have one of those fancy ones that aren't magnetic, and they don't clutter up the house. I just put one on there from Saugatuck just today.
Are there refrigerators that are not magnetic?
Some of those stainless steel ones are only magnetic on the side.
Oh, my. That would be disappointing.
I know. I use ours all the time.
Sue has said that she collects heart-shaped stones. She does photography just for fun, succulents, and little boxes.
So succulents is plants.
Right.
Yes.
They're
Like
cute
the
little.
thick leaf
Yeah.
things.
Oh.
Don't require a lot of maintenance. They're adorable. They're really popular. They're very in right now.
Wonder how little the boxes are.
I really wonder that too. I'd like a picture of that little box collection.
Yeah. It'd be easy to store, theoretically. Very
Depending
little.
on how many you had.
That's true.
True.
Some of these just bring up more questions, don't they?
One more item of feedback from friend of the show, Amy. She said, "It's another great podcast. I'm so glad you included the bloopers at the end. That
Yeah,
was
that
me
was
trying to
pretty
say
hilarious.
coterie of collectors."
First
Now
try
I
there.
can't even say
Yeah.
it wrong if I wanted to.
It's
She
really
loves-
funny. It's really funny listening back to it, but it was as the editor of the podcast,
man, it
it was
took
a
Mark
little
so
bit
long to
it was a
edit
little
that.
bit stressful, but
Yeah.
it was very funny. And in the long run, it worked out.
I mean, I would just be so ready and go through the whole paragraph, ready to say it right, and I would mess it up again.
Yes.
Yes. She loved the name Seggy for our listeners.
I am surprised by that. I felt it was a little risque.
I
Am I
don't
wrong?
get that. I don't
Yeah, I don't
understand.
hear that
I
either.
think it's risque.
I don't know what it sounds like.
To me, it sounds like an award you should be giving out from the show.
A Seggy.
Like the
You won a Seggy award.
second annual Seggy.
All right, I like
award.
that better.
Yeah.
Or
Well, it's
If
like
anything-
when you get a
Seggy.
sticker.
Get
You
a
won your
daytime
Seggy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you've won your Seggy.
Yeah.
I like
If anything, it sounds like Segway, but it doesn't sound risque.
that. No, it does not.
It rhymes with
yeah.
Segway rhymes with risque.
Her favorite ice cream was Jamocha almond fudge, and we guessed what it might be, but she said it is actually Baskin Robbins coffee and chocolate flavored ice cream with fudge ripples and almond slices.
Oh.
So that's good to know.
That could have been up in a correction then.
Oh, you're right. Shoot. For hobbies, she said, regarding puzzles, you must put the edge pieces together first. That's correct. We have a table in the living room with puzzles going all year round. Oh, cool. Usually 1,000 pieces. That's the perfect amount. The worst one was Darth Vader. Oh, yeah. It took us 3 months to do that one. We love all kinds of puzzles. You know that was all dark pieces. It was probably very difficult. Other hobbies and collections she has are cookbooks. She must collect cookbooks, magnets for the fridge of places we've been on vacation. I guess we're not that original
No.
on that one, Mark.
No, obviously.
I mean, every souvenir shop sells
Yes,
them.
correct.
Cream and sugar sets. not anymore because I'm out of room. That's one of those things that will take up a lot more room than a magnet. And she said,
Like
anything
ships.
commemorating
ships.
the millennium.
Anything commemorating like Y2K?
I don't know.
That's interesting.
I like
Anything commemorating the millennium.
So we'd like more information on that. And she also collects dust. So do I.
Right.
That's amazing. She likes to listen to us while she's baking. That's also kind of like a hobby.
So I like this idea, Amber, of having a table in your living room with a puzzle on it year round.
I do too.
You're more of a once a year puzzler.
Well, part of the problem is I don't feel like we have room for the table, so I just am anxious to get it out of the way once the puzzle is built. I don't want it cluttering up the room.
That's true. Yeah, good point.
Having it out seems like there's more risk of losing a piece at some point. Like
True.
getting knocked on the floor and then kicked under or something. Or
Yeah. But we don't have little people anymore.
yeah, that's true.
And so it's probably a little bit safer.
You have animals.
Yeah, tell me about it. Awesome. So that's great. Thank you, everybody, for your feedback. We love going through that and seeing you guys' responses to previous shows. So thanks for sending that in. Segment 1. 5 top ones? Star Wars edition. In the place where we'd normally do a top 5, we're doing our 5 top ones. As Amber said, like we did way back on the villain episode, a few episodes back. In the villain episode, we talked about our favorite Star Wars villain, and that was challenging. And so I'm going to bring up my favorite Star Wars villain, Amber, later on, but it's different. I skewed from that original favorite Star Wars villain.
So did I.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So what we're going to do, who should we start with? Who's going to kick it off? We're going to talk about 5 different things. Amber, what were those different things we're talking about?
Our favorite Star Wars location, spaceship or vehicle, villain, hero, and battle.
Awesome. All right, so we're all going to do our location first. Let's start with our guest, Bobbie Jo.
So my favorite Star Wars location is Scarif.
Scarif.
Yes, because
Tropical,
yes,
beautiful.
It's just so beautiful and
Remind some of us where
Rogue
we've
One.
seen Scarif.
so yes, Rogue One.
Oh, okay. Where the needle thing and they had to climb to the top.
They
okay.
had to climb to the top to get the plans for the Death Star.
Ah,
I
So
love
this
that.
is maybe this is a spoiler, but this is the one where like everybody dies.
no, yeah. It's not a
And-
spoiler if
yeah.
you're a Star Wars fan.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen it, just go into it knowing everyone dies. But I love the beauty of the planet mixed with, especially at the end, as you're recognizing like, oh my gosh, everyone is actually going to die. It's kind of
Yeah.
sad, but I mean, it's this beautiful
You're
space
right.
that they're in. And when they're having the battle on there, like you just see all these different, the water is very beautiful and the trees and the sand. It's a beautiful kind of tropical space instead of just sand.
Yeah, I remember
great.
seeing some of the preview posters and stuff, and they had some of the new stormtroopers that they had created for Rogue One walking through this kind of shallow, beautiful water. And I was so struck by the palm trees and the sand contrasted with kind of the villainous,
Right.
stormtroopers walking through there. Very interesting.
Yeah. So that's my favorite location.
Awesome. Scarif.
Scarif.
For my favorite location, I said Naboo.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
You guys both
So-
picked very beautiful places.
Right. Well, I like that Naboo is like one of the only planets that actually has any diversity to its environment.
Oh, that we see for sure.
Like
yes.
all the other planets are kind of they do one thing.
Well,
Just
monotonous.
The
desert,
whole planet.
just
It's like just
snow,
just
just
city.
forest. Yeah.
Yeah. But Naboo has the whole like underwater thing and
That's
the,
true.
the grassy fields and the swamps and the city
Castle,
and stuff.
yeah.
So I like that. I was trying to think. Maybe Scarif does, but other than that, I think Naboo might be the only planet in any of the Star Wars movies that has grass in it,
Ooh.
which is interesting.
Interesting.
Wow.
Does Endor not have grass?
Oh no, Endor does. Shoot, I didn't even think of Endor. Edit this out. I knew that.
Also,
Check.
the place that Luke is.
There's so
now
much shade. I
doesn't
don't know how
look
much
like
grass
Oh,
can grow. There's greenery.
What is that
The
place
island.
called?
that he's on.
I can't remember.
Oh,
Well,
Yeah, it has
never mind,
porgs.
but I like how pretty Naboo is.
I love the architecture of the Naboo. I like the Gungan architecture too. It's cool with the orbs, but the Naboo cities are very cool,
I really
built
like
on those
the-
cliffs.
The parade scene at the end where they're marching
Yeah.
through the city. I think
oh,
that's
that's
really
right. Yeah,
Yeah, I love that.
good ones.
All right, well, my favorite location is Hoth.
Another pretty one.
Another pretty one. This is one of those kind of monotonous, icy planets. There's ice all the way around. Of course, it's the sixth planet in the Hoth system, and we see it, of course, in Empire Strikes Back. But there is something about this. I remember seeing it as a kid, right? And there's the AT-ATs, which I had an AT-AT when I was a kid, and it was so fun. You know, these giant walking tank things. Like, what? Nobody ever seen anything like that before. And then the snow speeders flying around it and tripping it. I had a snow speeder. It was one. The spaceships and things were a little bit more expensive, so I didn't have an X-wing. I didn't have a TIE fighter. John did get a Millennium Falcon from Uncle Gary at one point, but I had a snow speeder. And on top of that, my brother John and I we lived out in the boonies in Delton, and on a bunch of acres. There's a lake on our property, and it would snow, and we would get our snowmobile suits on, and we would just tromp around through the snow, pretending to be. I was always Luke, he was always Han, and we would walk around in the snow, pretending that we were scouting for the Rebel Alliance or some such thing. I don't know what we were doing out there.
One of you pretend to be Chewbacca and kind of pop up and roar. And
yeah, exactly.
Be a distraction so Han could shoot the thing from the back.
The probe droid.
Yeah.
And we just did that constantly. It's just like there's something about you're literally just walking around in the snow, but just with this like weird idea of like, oh, I'm Luke Skywalker and I'm on an adventure, and that makes it super fun. So
it was probably one of the easiest climates to copy as a kid.
Yes,
living
it did
in Michigan,
work.
At least
It did work very well. If we moved to Hawaii, we could do Scarif pretty easily.
Yes.
Drawing a blank. What's the name of the snow monster?
The Wampa.
Wampa.
Amber, what's your favorite location?
Couldn't think of a Wampa. My favorite Star Wars location is Endor, and it's the nostalgia factor for me. I think that's the first time we've mentioned nostalgia in this episode. So I think I've said before, Return of the Jedi was the first movie I saw in the theater, and I think my love of Star Wars really came alive in that movie. And on Endor, I loved the Ewoks as a kid. I still think they're very cute. Leia wore her best outfit there. I really liked it when she had her hair down and it was kind of in a couple of braids.
Oh, when she was in the Ewok Village?
Yeah, in the Ewok Village. I really liked the speeder bike chase on Endor. I think that was fun. I liked the celebration at the end with all the Ewoks. And we had the play set. So that made me like Endor. We had that Ewok Village play set. So
Yeah.
My daughter,
Makes me
Nadia,
happy.
she wants to be an Ewok for Halloween.
Oh,
that
she'd
would
be so
be-
cute. She needs to hurry up before she gets much taller.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's one of the 100 things that's on the
Aw.
list for maybe Halloween.
She would make a great Ewok.
In one of the new editions of Return of the Jedi, I believe they did an extended Endor celebration at the end, and I think the Ewoks were like playing stormtrooper helmets. Maybe that was in the original. Was it?
Yeah.
They showed more fireworks and stuff. I liked that scene too. It was very celebratory. It was finally the end of the trilogy, and it was finally happy again after the.
There's also some important romantic discussions, I feel like, that take place there. Isn't that when Leia tells Han that Luke's really just her brother?
Yeah.
That's
And
when
when-
Luke tells Leia that
Oh,
they're brother and sister.
yeah. Everybody finds out.
Yeah, and Han's like,
The one where they all
I'll
find
let
out.
you guys go off. You can do your thing. I'll whatever. And
Aw,
she's like,
yeah.
no, it's not like that at all. We would play like we were in Endor all the time. Not in the winter, but in the.
That was harder to do in the suburbs of Portage.
Yeah, we had
Didn't feel like Endor?
we had a tree house that it was out in the woods behind the barn. My dad made this kind of like, it was kind of this rectangular tree house, and there's this like kind of desk. He made these two chairs, and we drew on the top of the desk like all these buttons and things, and we would pretend we're sitting up in the top of an AT-AT. So
That is really cool.
that was very cool.
I
Thanks,
would say I
Dad.
was jealous, but there's no way I would have gone in that treehouse. They had to be filled with spiders.
I don't recall spiders, but probably was correct. Bobbie Jo, what's your top one vehicle?
My
Top one? Is that what we're doing?
My favorite
Favorite?
vehicle is the Millennium Falcon. Because,
Classic.
yes, I like Mark, really like nostalgia.
Oh, I thought you were saying I like Mark.
Well,
I appreciate that.
yeah, I like the whole family.
Hmm.
But when I think of the Millennium Falcon, I really like how it's in the different movies, and especially the original trilogy, you kind of see it, but then this latest movie, the Han Solo movie that
Yeah.
came out, like you just kind of see it develop as its own character, the Millennium Falcon.
I loved it.
And yes, but also I really like the Millennium Falcon because Dale, my son, he had this little like Millennium Falcon with
I
the
remember
place.
The
that.
chunky. I love those.
Yeah, so he had that and he played with it until, I mean, not too long ago. Then we gave it to my nephew who's a little bit younger. But now he has the Lego Millennium Falcon. And
Oh, wow.
So I just like seeing my kids, into stuff that Aaron and I are into too.
Yeah, for sure. I think the Millennium Falcon was like a character in the Last Jedi.
Oh,
Also,
in the Force Awakens,
The Force
right?
Awakens.
The junk will do or whatever. What? The garbage will do? One of those two.
The
They're
Force
going for the
Awakens.
quad
Yeah,
hopper or something.
That one's garbage.
The Force
The
Awakens.
garbage will do. Yeah.
Yes.
This hunk of junk. Yeah, I think there's something about the Millennium Falcon, and I don't know this to be true, but in my memory, the asymmetricalness of the Millennium Falcon just stood out because most ships were very equal and very streamlined, and it just didn't look like all the spaceships, that you had seen before.
Yeah, I definitely had no idea the cockpit was way over on the right of it as a kid.
Yeah.
I just assumed it'd be in the center
Yeah,
somehow.
between those two little
Yeah, that must
things
be where
or-
the cockpit is. but-
Yeah.
Nope.
And so how do you see if you're making a left turn, how do you even see? It doesn't makes
Yeah.
no sense. Yeah.
People just need to get out of the way.
Yeah.
For a huge ship.
I loved watching the Millennium Falcon, because you see it at the beginning of Solo, and it's this pristine, beautiful ship that
yeah.
Lando has created, and then as the show progresses, it just gets just trashed. I just thought that was brilliant. I love that movie.
Yes,
though.
but I just think too, when you think about it from that place, from when it was like pristine, and then the adventures, kind of the story that it tells by the end, traveling through, all these different adventures that they've gone on. Like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. It's like it's little battle scars.
Yeah, definitely.
Aaron, what's your favorite vehicle?
I don't know if it's my favorite, but I chose
What's one vehicle that you, Aaron? What's one vehicle that you like?
I chose the Bongo.
Whoa, that's such a good choice.
So that
The
is,
bongo.
that's the submarine that Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi and Jar Jar Binks ride in through the water core of the planet Naboo,
Yeah.
which was also my favorite location. I just think that whole scene is really cool. I think it's funny how he force tricks the boss Nass into giving him the bongo.
Yeah.
Like, we're still going to give you una bongo.
Nice.
I think that's cool.
Yes.
And it just makes a cool sound when it goes, and then
Yeah, it really does.
the power goes out in it, and then Obi-Wan hot wires it, and the power comes back on, and there's a giant monster there, and
And then a gianter monster.
There's always a bigger fish.
Always a bigger
So,
fish.
Yeah,
Dale has that Lego thing too, I think.
yeah. I think he has a bongo Lego
Oh,
set
wow,
too. Yeah,
cool.
so
Yes.
that's fun.
So, Aaron, what age were you when The Phantom Menace came out?
I was in high school.
Okay.
That was the first one that came out in the theater that I was old enough to go see. I saw it, I think, 13 times or something in the theater.
Oh,
It wasn't-
wow.
It's not my favorite Star Wars movie, but it was just so exciting to
Oh,
have a
it
new
was
Star Wars
so
movie. And
exciting.
went and saw it a
Absolutely.
lot with everybody I knew. And
Oh yeah, I
was
think
fun.
there's something about that. The first movie that came out in your formidable years, or
Yeah.
something that that sticks with you. And like prequel people are really into the prequels, and OT people are really into the OT. I know you're kind of into both, but I think that's interesting that both of your things came from Phantom Menace, the fan favorite
It's
of the Star Wars
the
saga.
best movie in the Star Wars saga, yes.
Awesome. Well, that's great. The bongo. I love that. All right. Well, my favorite vehicle, and I think this might be my favorite. It is a hard thing to say, but is the B-Wing.
Oh.
And so we saw the B-Wing first in Return of the Jedi when the Rebel fleet was coming to attack the second Death Star. And so the X-Wing, we'd seen that in the two previous movies. It looked like an X. The Y-Wing kind of looked like a Y. And there's in Return of the Jedi, we get the A-Wing and the B-Wing. And the A-Wing, you can kind of make it into an A.
From the top down,
Yeah, if
it's
you-
like a filled-in A, kind of.
The
It's like a
B-Wing
triangle.
makes
Looks like a
no
T.
sense. Yeah, it's just this like a small case T. But what is awesome about it is there's this central cockpit that kind of is reminiscent of the Millennium Falcon cockpit, and then it's got this long fin that it's connected to, and it's got turrets on either side, and these little fins that I guess the S-foils maybe, that flip out. But the thing spins around, but the cockpit will stay the same, and all the wings and everything will rotate around it. And I just thought there's something, it was so cool. It was just, I don't know what it is. It's a bomber. It's an attack ship. I don't know anything really about it. But
I liked that there was an episode of Rebels where they introduced it.
yes.
They had the pilot fly it, and it was like a really hard ship to fly, but
very powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it was had more armor or something than the X-wings and whatever. It was just in the Rebels, I read that they kind of retconned that they called it the Blade Wing. I don't remember that in Rebels, but anyway, from what I read on
because it's a bomber.
I guess so. But a Y-wing was a bomber.
yeah, that was
It was the first bomber. Yeah, I just thought it was
You don't
very
really
cool.
see it rotating around in Return of the Jedi, right? It's just in a group of ships you kind of see the T shape of it flying out.
Yes, and so this is interesting, Aaron. I read this. The craft, I'm just reading this from Wikipedia. The craft's unusual thin shape was problematic for blue screen photography because the model tended to blend in to the star field. And so some of the sequences that had the B-wing were cut out of Return of the Jedi. And so the B-wing is not shown in action during the Battle of Endor in the film. So
Makes sense.
and so you don't see it a lot, but they had a ship, the toy came out, and that's when you really notice it, and then you're looking for it in the movie. So it's a great ship. I love the B-wing. It's a powerful ship in the X-wing game that came out for Fantasy Flight not too long ago. And so there you go. B-wing. Do you love the B-wing, Amber?
It's okay.
Okay.
She gives it a B.
I'll give it a B. Oh, I wish I would have thought of that. I went to the dark side to pick my
good.
spaceship, and I picked the Star Destroyer or the Super Star Destroyer.
Which one?
Well, Super Star Destroyer.
Okay.
Maybe the Executor, is that the biggest one?
I think so.
Darth Vader's
something with
ship,
an E.
right?
Ship,
Yeah.
Was that the Executor?
I think so.
Yeah.
I always
So-
called it the Executor, but it's probably because I didn't know what I was doing because I was a little kid.
Oh,
The
okay,
Executor.
yeah.
It seemed bad.
So
Anyway.
you see it. Is it the very first movie where it comes across the screen, the opening
I don't
crawl?
think the
No.
first
No.
one is a Super Star Destroyer.
Okay. Well, in general, they're cool.
Yeah.
And I just think...
Well, they do-
Is it the Executor that crashes into this
Yeah, I
Death
couldn't
Star?
remember because
I
I,
think it
I was
is.
almost going to do the Super Star Destroyer, and I was
Yeah.
trying to remember if that was the thing.
When I was Googling it, they were talking about the Executor, and they showed that picture, so I'm
They
thinking
show
it might
at
be.
the beginning of Empire Strikes Back. They show a Star Destroyer, and you know how big they are, and then all of a sudden a shadow eclipses the Star Destroyer, and there's something even bigger, and then they zoom
Yeah.
out, and you see the Super Star Destroyer, and
Yeah.
that's such a cool
so
intro
the fact
for
that
it.
they're so big, I think that maybe is where I thought it was really cool the first time. So I did Google how big is it, and it's highly controversial in the Star Wars nerdy world. Super duper controversial. So they say that a basic Star Destroyer is 1 mile long, a
Wow.
basic one, and that the Super Star Destroyer or the Executor specifically is probably 5 miles long.
Wow.
Whoa.
How
It's a big
in the
ship.
world? So then people want to know how much it would cost to build, and this just might be a classic Star Destroyer, but it's estimated that it would cost $636 billion to build. But to launch it, it's like it said it to launch it to clear Earth and Mars, I think is what it said. I don't know.
Well, you-
would cost $4.4 trillion.
They
You
build
can't-
it in space
Yeah,
in the
you can't.
shipyards.
That's what I thought. So I think that's a silly. It would cost way less to just build it in space.
Right,
Yeah.
Everybody knows that's what you do.
In the pre-set up space building shipyard.
So we see. I'm not big on the Star Trek lore, but in the new Star Trek, they show them building all those great big enterprises, or what are they called? Those, whatever.
Yeah.
Must be some sort of a class of
Starships.
starships. They build all those in space because they're so massive.
Kind of like low atmosphere because you can see it from the ground and in space. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you would definitely not build it on the ground for Pete's sake, a
No.
5 mile long ship. But anyway, I just think it's so cool. It's so big and definitely felt evil creeping up on our people.
In one of the sequel trilogy, I think that Snoke has an even larger ship than the Super Star Destroyer.
Crazy.
Is that the one that gets cut in half?
I think so. I
Yeah.
have to look that up. I don't know that, but I feel like they
And the
build
Death
an
Star
even
is
bigger
obviously
one.
bigger too.
This Death Star, yeah. Remember, that's such a good
So
one.
I had a revelation that
Yeah.
probably everybody else figured out, but I grew up with Star Wars my whole life, and I didn't realize the name Star Destroyer had nothing to do with destroying stars. I just always thought that's what it meant, but like a destroyer is a class of ship. So in the same way that starship is to ship, Star Destroyer is to destroyer.
Oh, and Star Tug is to tugboat.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That
Yeah,
does make
That's
sense.
a new revelation for me as
Well,
well.
there you go.
Thanks, Aaron.
'Cause it's
Star
not-
Destroyer.
Yeah,
Starship.
it'd have to be like a Death Star to actually destroy a star.
Right. Yeah. It didn't make sense to me.
Wow, that's a good
called that.
revelation.
I love that. Awesome. Good one, Amber. And you
Thank
can
you.
take down a Super Star Destroyer with one A-Wing.
Yeah, if you just crash it right into the bridge.
Exactly. All right, Bobbie Jo, what is your favorite villain?
Well, my favorite villain is Senator Palpatine. And before
Senator Palpatine.
Senator Palpatine, because I feel like he was so sneaky that he
Absolutely.
just did. I mean, he's like a villain that you kind of love to hate, but as it's happening, you're realizing how intelligent he is as he's doing these little things. Like, Padme's not here, and so I'm going to talk to Jar Jar and make him feel like this is exactly what she would do. And
You know
Jar
you're
Jar
evil if you're even manipulating Jar Jar.
Yeah.
Right, because
Yeah.
Jar Jar is so sweet. But like,
Hot takes from Bobbie Jo.
and so
Bobbie Jo's a Jar Jar fan.
I do. I like Jar Jar.
I like Jar Jar,
He's-
too.
He's just cute. But I just think you slowly see this happening and think, oh no, like don't do that. And then they do, he gets this one step and then something else happens. You're like, no, like you're watching it unfold and it's just so,
You're like, this ain't gonna be messy.
yeah, yeah. And it's just it's very sad to just watch it happen. Like, oh man, if that one thing, then what would have happened? But, so that's my favorite villain.
I
is Senator
remember
Palpatine.
leaving and maybe this will make me seem like not a very good Star Wars fan, but I remember leaving the Phantom Menace and talking to Amber and trying to go, or thinking, is he the Emperor? Like not
100%.
putting them together. Like, is
Yeah.
that like? It seems like that's the way it's going. And at that point, I must not read much EU or whatever. But I was legitimately like, I think that's the Emperor, and thinking that I'd maybe stumbled on something, but.
Yeah, well, they did a good, because you didn't know how his face was going to melt and everything, so they did a good job of being like, well, he's too normal looking to
Yeah.
become the emperor. Like, that can't.
And when he talks to the man, what are those aliens?
Nemoidians?
The Nemoidians, right? He's got the hood over, and
Yeah,
you can
then
see
he
his-
definitely
right?
starts
It's
to
like
look
he's
there, yeah.
That's the Emperor, and like, is that the same guy? And you never see his, his full face. So,
But I think they do such a good job of setting it up that he is this, genius manipulator.
yeah,
That you see, because you kind of see that later with Vader and Luke, where he's like, whichever one of these guys kills the other, it's fine. And so he says the thing to each of them to try to get them to turn on the other one.
yeah,
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
he's very just manipulative, and they just plant those seeds really early in the story with Senator Palpatine.
Yeah, I think my favorite scene is, and maybe you guys can help me with this, is it's definitely Revenge of the Sith, the opera house, and Senator Palpatine, who is, I guess, Chancellor at that point, is like, let me tell you the story of...
The tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise.
Yeah, and it's just like, in the music and the opera, and where Anakin's going. Like, there's this weight on that scene that is just, I thought it was brilliant. I love that scene. Plagueis the Wise.
That's kind of a meme online. The tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I don't know. I don't know why. Certain things from prequels got picked up as memes. That's one of them.
It's not everybody's favorite scene.
No, I don't know if it is.
Well, I'm just owning it.
But that gives you more insight to how evil that this character really is.
He gets this smile on his face and
Yes.
kind of licks his lips when he talks about
That
the
he
apprentice
killed
killing
us.
Darth
Yeah.
Plagueis.
Yeah.
He doesn't come out and say that he was the apprentice that did it, but you can tell he kind of did, and he's savoring the memory of it,
Yeah.
how great it was that he did that.
So
Yeesh.
good.
Yeah.
That's great. Good one. Love it. Aaron, who's your favorite villain? Or who's a villain you like, Aaron?
Yeah, so I went with Jango Fett.
Whoa.
Another prequel villain, but I think that he just seems so cool. I like his mannerisms when he's outside of his armor, when he has a conversation with Obi-Wan in his quarters, and he's like, always a pleasure to meet a Jedi, and he has his cool accent that I'm not going to try and do. But then also that he wanted to be a dad, that he had an unaltered clone and he was raising his son, I think was kind of cool. And then he seemed I just liked watching the battles with him. Like he beat Obi-Wan pretty much on Kamino. He got away.
Oh, yeah.
And then they have the space battle after that where he shoots out those cool sonic
The
charge
sonic
things
charges,
that like
yeah.
make the big explosion that the sound comes afterwards and stuff. And I think that's really cool. And then on Geonosis, he gets Mace Windu to run away at the beginning, and he takes down the Reek with like a single shot to the face. And
Oh, yeah. I
something with his
forgot
little
about
guns.
that.
He does lots of cool stuff. His jetpack malfunctions then because he got run over by the Reek. And so then he ends up meeting his end with Mace Windu because
Yeah.
he can't fly away. But I think he just seemed pretty cool. I liked him.
Yeah, he's definitely on screen cooler than Boba Fett.
Yeah, for sure. On screen, he's way cooler than Boba Fett.
Boba doesn't do anything. So
Yeah, he
Aaron,
has a
I
flamethrower,
also
too.
had Jango Fett.
You did.
I did.
Wow.
For many of the same reasons. I really liked that he had the clone Boba. I liked discovering that Boba was really just a clone.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Very cool.
And I just liked all the Kaminoan stuff with the clone factory. I just felt like all of that was very mysterious and exciting that they were doing all that. And I liked the platform, the Kamino platform planet or wherever they lived in that sea and all that.
Yeah.
Jango.
And there was a great battle between
Very
him and Obi-Wan on Kamino there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and that's where we learned about Sifo-Dyas, which I don't know. Somebody must know who Sifo-Dyas is, but I think he was a Jedi or something. Or anyway, that doesn't have anything to do with Jango, but there's a lot of interesting stuff on Kamino.
Absolutely.
Amber, we've already previously done our villains, as we said. I previously said that Darth Maul was my favorite villain, and he still might be. But here is a new rival for my favorite Star Wars villain, Kira.
Ooh,
And
good
here's
one.
the thing. Is she really a villain? We don't know.
Yeah, I don't think we know quite yet.
We don't know quite yet, but
Yes.
we're currently placing her in the villain category based on how she ended with Solo, and is going off with Darth Maul. But what I just think she was a great character, and if she is a villain and she was playing Solo that whole time, similar to Palpatine, very strategic and conniving, and I don't know. I just thought she was really, really fun on screen. I don't have much to say about Kira, but that's
It seems like if she's a villain, why didn't she do more to hurt Han?
Well, she's a conflicted
Exactly.
villain. It doesn't mean she's not
It's
a
not
villain.
like she just wants to hurt everybody.
Yeah.
Villains can have people they like.
I think that there is something inside of her that cares about Han, so that's why she didn't kill him or turn him over to Dryden Voss. And I think that she went to join Darth Maul, and she didn't bring Solo with her because she knew that he doesn't have to be wrapped up in this life that she is stuck in. She's stuck here now. She doesn't have any choice, and so she's just owning it, but she's not bringing other people with her. So there is some good in her. And so I'm trying to figure out who my favorite villain is. And all the villains that I like have this little redemptive quality. There's something about them. Like I just want them to be something.
You don't want any bad
good.
guys in
I
Star
don't
Wars.
want any super bad guys. I just want everybody to have goodness.
Star piece.
Star piece. Yeah.
I just think that's what makes a good villain is if you give them a little bit of humanity, a little bit of something that you can recognize in them, makes them all the scarier, I think.
Yeah, and so I really think that the way Solo ended could be like a prequel to the Kira Darth Maul story. So who knows where that'll go,
Right.
if it ever goes anywhere. But it'll be interesting, and they know that I'm going to be paying my money at the door as soon as that comes out.
For sure.
So there you go, my current favorite villain, Kira.
All right, mine was Django. So we are on to heroes.
So a hero that I really like is Finn.
I almost
Bobbie
picked
Jo,
Finn.
that is also the hero I picked.
Whoa!
Great
He's
minds.
great.
Great minds.
He's
I
great.
almost picked Finn. He's great.
Yeah. So, well, okay. Why don't you talk about him then, Amber, and I can jump in? But you didn't get to talk about your bad guy.
Yeah.
Villain.
Okay. Well,
So
I don't
you
have
go
a
ahead.
ton of him, but he was maybe my favorite character from the new trilogy.
Oh.
I really just appreciated the way that he was portrayed. I think that I wrote down here he was a regretful stormtrooper. So
He was regretful?
regretful.
Here we go.
He was a regretful collector.
Of stormtroopers.
Regretful. Is that a word?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Full of regret. when it seemed like it was pretty much his first battle, or the first battle we saw him in. He pretty much froze. He didn't want to shoot these villagers. I liked that he was kind of conflicted. You would just assume all stormtroopers are just kind of brainwashed and ready to do whatever the Empire wants them to do, and he was willing to stand up to that. I thought that was really cool.
They were literally programmed in that.
Yeah.
They talked about they're programmed from birth or whatever to be stormtroopers.
So why was he able to resist? I think there might be more to his story.
So doesn't Phasma say that, we've got to send him down to reprogram him?
For reprogramming.
Yeah.
And,
Reprogramming.
and so it must happen occasionally, and he just happened to take advantage of the Poe situation and get out.
I can only assume that reprogramming had something to do with leaving your eyelids propped open, and he probably just couldn't handle doing that
With
again.
toothpicks.
That seems rough. I really like to.
Empire.
It's
supposed to be rough.
But Finn managed
First
to
order.
fight against them.
Yes.
Oh, you're
And
right, it is the
I
First
think he was so kind to his friends.
Yes.
And he just had this loyal aspect to that, even when he was kind of like, I don't necessarily know what I'm doing,
Yeah.
but I know what I don't want to be doing. And I love that.
Yeah, he felt
And he's
kind of
so
relatable.
kind. Yes.
Yes, I put that he had a hero's heart.
Yes.
He did consider running away, which would have made perfect sense when they were at Maz Kanata's place, but he chose to stay and help, and
Because he loves Rey.
he loves Rey.
Yeah.
I
Why does
love
everybody
it.
want to go to Jakku?
He's funny. I actually liked his storyline. I think that was a little unnecessary in The Last Jedi, but
with Rose?
I just liked him. I liked him and Rose. I just liked his humor, but I liked the planet they went to and the cool gambling place. So I just think he's super fun. I really like the scene where they're in the Millennium Falcon and BB-8, they're trying to like fix something, and BB-8 can tell that something's not right with Finn, and he's just...
And he gives the little thumbs up with his
that's so
fusion
fun.
cutter or whatever.
Yep.
Well, I think that his motivation was all self-preservation and Rey were like his two motivators
Yes.
for the
True.
entire first movie that he was in. And
Yeah.
then the second movie, up until he found out about all the
Mistreatment
stuff,
of animals.
Yeah, mistreatment of animals and people profiting off the war and whatever, I guess the corruption that he saw at that planet, that really made him think like they gave him a different motivation, that he actually wanted to help the resistance out.
Okay.
And so
Yeah, I can see
instead of
that.
running away, he actually wanted to go help. Like the only reason he went there was to save Rey because she
True.
was going to show up at that fleet and he didn't want her to die. But
Right.
then when he came back, I think he was more bought into the whole resistance as a whole.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And he was willing to sacrifice himself. Not even Rey wasn't even there for the people that he was sacrificing himself for at that point. She was flying around the Millennium Falcon. And so he was willing to sacrifice himself for the resistance. So that I think that he needed that whole side trip to do his character arc and give him a better motivation.
It's
Yeah.
something that Han never graduated from. It didn't seem like he was kind of in it for Leia. First, he didn't want to be in it, and then he was dragged in. He was kind of in it for Leia, and then he didn't.
He
just went off
volunteered
on
to
his
lead the
own.
ground team on Endor, though.
Yeah, but was that for Leia? Maybe he came around a little bit.
He came around a little bit, I think. I thought that there was this love connection between him and Rey, and so now we've got Rose in the triangle. So I don't know what's going to go on with there. So who's
I don't
Finn
think
like?
she's in the triangle. I think she wants to be.
Oh, Rose wants to
I
be.
think she's in it.
She's like, I'm in the triangle. Awesome.
So Amber and I's number one hero is Finn.
For my number one hero, I chose Poe Dameron.
Oh,
Whoa.
And I just really enjoy humor in action movies, and he is the funniest, I think. Like the Force Awakens had me at the beginning when he was like, "Who's going to talk first? Are you going to
Oh
talk?
my
Am I going to
gosh,
talk?"
me
And
too.
like just in
Oh,
the face
so
of
good.
this like horrible Sith Lord who looked very powerful, and he like cracked a joke right away, and I was like, that hooked me right then. And then he continued to just be funny in almost every scene he was in. I really like the beginning of The Last Jedi when he's making the transmission to Admiral Hux on the Imperial ship, and he's pretending like he can't hear him. He's like,
Oh,
I'll,
yeah.
I'll hold,
Oh my
I'll hold
gosh.
for Huxley.
Oh, that's so good.
It's so funny. He just keeps going. He's buying time.
Yeah.
I like that. I like his character arc in The Last Jedi, where he goes from being willing to sacrifice the whole fleet to take out that one ship to actually being able to make more responsible decisions and be more of a leader. I think that's cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does in the next movie.
Yeah, I imagine that he is going to take over for Leia in the next movie,
Seems like they don't have anybody else ready to do that.
especially now that Holdo's gone.
Yeah. Oh, I also, in The Force Awakens, I love the scene where they're at Maz Kanata's place and they just come outside and then you see his black X-Wing go through and you can watch it in the background and it just takes out like 10 TIE fighters and then flies around and shoots the guys on the ground in front of him and then keeps going. And it's just like, I like tell my kids like watch that black one, and you can like watch it and he's just like flying around taking all this stuff.
That
and
black
it's-
X-wing is
it's
so
like
cool.
that is one great pilot or something like that. I
Yeah.
don't remember what they say.
I love the relationship between Finn and Poe. Just this great friendship and camaraderie. They obviously love each other, and I just think I just love that friendship.
So, Mark, who
So-
is your favorite? Oh,
My number one hero was Poe Dameron.
Oh, Dameron, that's a great one. My number one hero was a little character by the name of Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker,
Him?
you actually meet him first in the first movie, A New Hope, and he's the young
fourth
guy.
movie.
The fourth movie. He's this young guy. He's on a farm. He's a moisture farmer, and he wants to get off the planet. He wants to go to Tashi Station to buy some power converters.
kind of whiny.
He is a little whiny. I didn't want to pick Luke because obviously, Luke, he's kind of the big hero, whatever. But as a kid, right, you're watching this movie, and I grew up in Delton, kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and we wouldn't live on a farm, but we had chickens and some horses and goats, and
That's kind of a farm.
kind of like a
A
farm.
lot more farmy than where I grew up.
And
It's not a Dalton farm.
here's this young kid that's out in the middle of nowhere that just wants to go and do something with his life, but he feels stuck. And so, I was like in second grade or something, right? And so, but I still, I want to do something important. I want to be somebody. I want to go on an adventure, right? And as you're watching Luke kind of step out and grow throughout the movies, you kind of ask yourself, oh, wait, he was just nobody, and now he's this hero. Oh, could I do that? Could I be a hero? Could I step up when I need to? And so, to me, Star Wars is all about Luke Skywalker and just the hero's journey. We talk about with Joseph Campbell or whatever, and just seeing how he comes out of nowhere and just does what needs to be done when it needs to be done. And I just love it. And so that's my number one hero, Luke Skywalker.
My
Okay.
hero was Finn.
Amber's hero was Finn.
Should we check your last one first, just in case you
I
overlap
know.
with somebody again? Battle.
There's no way Amber picked the same battle. Bobbie Jo, what's your favorite battle?
So my favorite battle is Naboo, because I like that there's lots of different stuff happening
Yes.
during the battle of Naboo. But really, I like it because I really like the game Battlefront
Oh, yeah.
on the Xbox One.
It was
The new Battle-
the
oh, the
original
original
Xbox.
Battlefront.
Yes.
that
Oh, the original.
We play it on the Xbox One now because they
Okay.
re-released it. but
So it's
yeah.
the original one, and I just back to nostalgia. A level in that game is Naboo, and so you get to kind of figure out like I'm going to go around this way, and you kind of get to know the city.
Is it Battlefront or Battlefront 2?
It's in both.
It's in both. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember doing that in Battlefront 2 and loving it. So.
Yes, so I love the original Battlefront because I like doing co-op, and I don't.
Well, both the original Battlefront and original Battlefront 2 had co-op.
Oh, okay. Well,
They both had Naboo levels.
so Aaron and I we've played that game for hours together, and for some reason we end up playing Naboo a lot.
Yeah.
in The
There's a mode that's
Galaxy
kind of like
takeover
Risk
thing.
where you're like taking over different systems, but Naboo is kind of centrally located, so it ends up being in conflict a lot, and so we have to
We play it
either
a
fight to
ton.
take it or fight to defend it often.
But so I have all these just happy memories of playing Battlefront and Battlefront 2 with Aaron, and now the kids like Dale and Nadia will also play. So we'll just take turns playing that, and so the battle is super cool in the movie because there's lots of stuff happening, but it really is the video game that gets me.
So, Battlefront, the original Battlefront and original Battlefront 2 are available on Xbox One.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes. They are.
Oh, great.
I definitely recommend getting those.
They're really good. They're really good family games.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm very excited
I
about
like the orbs that the Gungans
Yes.
use, and I like the shields.
Yeah. Well,
And I also like just the sheer number of battle droids that were coming. Like
They
when those
come out of the
vehicles would
things.
open and you realize
Yes.
how many were in each of those
Yes.
vehicles and how hard of a fight it was going to be. That was pretty cool.
that. So, that was great because they did that kind of classic Star Wars thing where there was like, all right, Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon and Darth Maul are fighting here. There's this star battle with Anakin is somehow winning for them.
Let's try a roll. That's a good trick.
And then you've got this kind of ground battle, right? And you see, and it's so kind of this.
Well, there's a fourth one because there's the queen in the palace
oh yeah,
too.
there's 4 of them.
There's 4 different fronts in that battle. That's
And that's
one
great.
that has
So
that
they're
many.
bouncing back and forth, which is great, which I loved
And
about.
then you have the Duel of the Fates music. That's just awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love
fun to
it.
listen
I love it when they do that. So good, awesome, good battle.
So yes, my favorite battle is the battle on Naboo.
Great, Aaron. What's your favorite battle?
So I almost went with Naboo. Should we have Amber go next? Okay. I went with the Battle of Endor.
Shoo, we're good.
Oh,
Okay.
my.
So I also like the classic Star Wars thing of having the battle going on multiple fronts, which I don't know why it's the classic Star Wars thing, because I think in the original trilogy it was only on Endor that they did that, right?
Yeah, I guess you're right. It's only Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, Return of the Jedi.
And then they did it in Phantom
Did it
Menace.
in Phantom Menace.
Did they not do it anywhere else?
In Force Awakens, they kind of did.
Yes.
Yeah.
On
So-
Scarif, there's multiple battles, but that's not one of the
Yeah,
trilogies.
true.
That's true.
But-
Scarif
Yeah.
is
So
a classic too.
maybe it's not classically Star Wars, but it
But yeah.
it happens.
I like that idea of there's the ground troops on Endor, Han and Leia, and R2-D2 and C-3PO, and the Ewoks are all down there on the planet, and Chewbacca. They're fighting like with the Ewoks and against those walker things and all the traps with the Ewoks and the
Yes,
Ewoks
I
being
love
kind
that
of silly
too.
and stuff.
Yes.
And then the like getting into the bunker, and I don't know. There's just a lot of fun moments there. And then in space, there's Lando is flying the Millennium Falcon with his funny co-pilot guy Niem Nub,
Oh yeah.
and you get it's a trap line from
trap.
Admiral
Yes,
Akbar,
yes.
and
Oh man.
just I don't know. It's cool to see
And-
Lando kind of having a leadership role in the ships there and stuff, and he's the one that figures out the shield's still up because they can't get a reading on it because they're blocking their transmissions, and they
Yes.
get trapped
Oh,
in by
man.
the Star Destroyers come up behind them, and just that whole thing, and they end up getting the shield down, and then he's flying into there, and he like knocks off the deflector dish thing on the Millennium Falcon, even though he said there wouldn't be a scratch on it and stuff. But
Yeah.
they end up blowing up the middle, and he and Wedge escape. And then also there's the confrontation in the throne room with Luke and Vader, and
Yes.
just that whole part. It's just so cool.
I never thought about that until just now. Lando takes it and he says there's not going to be a scratch on her, which in juxtaposition to when Han takes the Falcon in Solo and puts a lot of scratches on it. It's just, I just never thought about that before. That's very interesting. Oh, yeah, I love it when Luke is standing in front of Palpatine and Palpatine kind of reveals, right, that, the shield.
Yeah.
I don't know how he's...
I'm afraid the shield will be quite operational when your friends arrive.
So good.
Oh man. Yes. Yeah, that's a really well directed
Yeah.
part of movie.
Yeah. Good job, George. Assuming that was George.
Well, and things kind of turn for the better in some of the fronts, but they'll still stay bad in the other ones. And
Yeah.
they did that both in Battle of Naboo and on Endor. Like as they were winning in some of the fronts, then Qui-Gon was dying in the in episode 1,
Poor
and then
Qui-Gon.
in episode 6, it was things were still bad in the throne room. Luke was getting zapped and stuff while they were winning on the other fronts, and
Right.
Yeah.
Oh man.
that's interesting.
That was great. Well, my favorite battle is part of the Return of the Jedi battle, but it was just the confrontation between Luke and Vader in the... Is that yours, Amber?
No, it is not.
Woo, we did it. There's this guy. His name is Jonathan McIntosh. You can follow him at Radical Bites. He has this take on the final battle between Luke and Vader, and talking about how that correlates to Luke's what Luke does in The Last Jedi, which a lot of Star Wars fans were unhappy about the portrayal of Luke in The Last Jedi. And so I can't really explain it, so just let me share this, Amber, if that's all right with you.
I will allow it.
Thank you. So this is, I'm just going to read some tweets from at Radical Bites. So he said, a handful of The Last Jedi haters in my mentions are offering up a fascinating misreading of the final showdown between Luke and Vader in Return of the Jedi. I think it's worth taking a moment to discuss because it may help explain why these guys hate Luke's character so much in Episode 8. And this Twitter exchange was actually picked up by Esquire, saying that this guy has solved the problem. And he tweeted, he's like, I have not solved any problems. Because
Then you're going to get the hate.
if you
yeah.
read the comments, it is crazy. Twitter actually shut the comments down
wow.
because
Wow.
there's just too many.
Oh, my
And,
word.
So All right, so this is the misreading. Luke Skywalker uses his great warrior skills to defeat Darth Vader. Once he's proven himself in combat and stands victorious, Luke does the honorable thing by showing mercy and sparing his enemy, thereby saving himself from corruption and redeeming his father. Okay, so that's the misreading. And this is what Jonathan says really happened. Luke tries to avoid fighting, but gives into anger. As he bests Vader in combat, Luke realizes his great mistake. Winning this fight means losing his soul to the dark side. The battle itself is corrupting him. Understanding this, Luke throws away his weapon. So notice that the misreading reframes Luke as a badass warrior and reframes his refusal to kill Vader as an act of mercy stemming from a position of power. This is significant because Luke beating Vader in combat is explicitly depicted as a moment of weakness, not strength. And so what I think is very interesting here is that this reading from Jonathan McIntosh is this idea of kind of nonviolence and not tapping into anger and hatred to win. And like that resonated with me. And then looking at Luke in episode 8, because I will agree that when, I'd been waiting for episode 8 to come out, and so finally, and I knew it was going to pick up exactly where 7 left off, and Rey hands him the lightsaber, and then he grabs it, and I was like, oh, this is going to be incredible, and he throws it away, and I was just like, what is going on? Like, I was completely like, I just don't understand. Like, that's not what anybody, I think, expected. And then him moving to the end of the movie where he defeats Kylo Ren without actually being there, actually laying a lightsaber or a hand on Kylo. It wasn't about doing violence and being the badass hero, but about finding victory through nonviolence. I just loved it, and it resonated, and to me, it makes a lot of sense.
It makes a ton of sense to me, too. I definitely, when I watch Return of the Jedi, that's what I see, is Luke struggling, Luke being weak, Luke not wanting to turn to the dark side and being afraid. But then when you think back about it, you think, oh, Luke's this amazing hero. He's the star of the trilogy or whatever. And I read a lot of novels where Luke was pretty awesome.
The most incredible thing.
But that's all thrown out.
Yeah.
And I really like this take on it. It makes a ton of sense.
You have any thoughts on that, Aaron?
When he's attacking Vader, just the look on his face as Vader's like down on it, like leaning on a railing, kind of falling down, and Luke's just swinging over his head over and over again, just beating on him, and just he has his teeth gritted and just this angry look on his face. He just looks like he's definitely, obviously acting out of anger, and that's when he cuts off Vader's hand that had the lightsaber in it, and then he like looks at Vader's missing hand and looks down at his own hand that Vader had cut off, and he realizes what he's becoming, and like at that moment he throws away his lightsaber, and I love that's my favorite line in the whole saga. After he throws down his lightsaber and he's like, I'm a Jedi, like my father before me. I just think that's so cool.
Oh, it is cool. It gives you chills.
So people that say that Luke in The Last Jedi was not being very Jedi-like, it's like, by not fighting, theoretically, is basically the most Jedi thing you could do. And it really makes you see the prequels in a different light, that they were just going down this path that was like the opposite of their ideals and their values.
They were generals in a war. That's like not at all passive.
They were no longer the peacekeepers of the galaxy.
Well, they tried to. I mean, you kind of see where they tried to be peacemakers, and they tried to go and talk to the different groups. I mean, but then, it's kind of a setup. Like, they're getting attacked. And so, I mean, it is this interesting, like, they tried that way and then kind of changed tactics.
Yeah. And was that the right call? I don't know.
What they thought they had to do to keep the peace, but...
Yeah, we're going to keep the peace through violence and power. We're going to overcome power with power.
That was the Emperor's thing, too, or whatever, was that they bring peace and order to the galaxy through the Empire.
Yeah, I really like that. And especially in this time where I'm actually kind of wrestling through this idea of what is the message of nonviolence? And I'm going to get religious for a second. But what's the message of nonviolence that we see in the New Testament, and how do we apply that to our lives today? And so it's just been something that I've been wrestling with lately. And so when I read this Twitter thread from Jonathan, it just struck me. I was like, oh, that's brilliant. So it just kind of hit me where I'm at right now. So there you go. My favorite battle, Luke versus Vader in Return of the Jedi.
Well, I really enjoyed that. I don't think I could talk that long about a battle. if I tried. But I did pick one that nobody else picked.
Yay!
It's one where the Jedis were not making a good choice, probably. It's the Battle of Geonosis.
That's
That
a
is
great one.
Such a good battle.
So I think maybe I kind of like Attack of the Clones,
Yes.
the second movie, because I've now picked that I really liked all the clone storyline, and I like this Geonosis
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So maybe I like that movie. I always think, what happened in that movie? I don't like Dooku. What
You
else
love
could there
the
be?
beautiful love story between Anakin and
There's
and
something
Padme.
I do
Oh,
like about
the
it because it
candlelight.
creeps me out. I'm a fan of Teenage Annie. He was going to be my villain, except I thought we had a no Skywalker clause in our top 5, so
Only
I
for
didn't pick him.
villains.
Only for villains.
Okay.
No, that's not true.
Battle of Geonosis. Oh, it's not here. Here's my notes. I really liked because there are so many different Jedis that come out, but I really liked the lead up to it with the beasts, the
Yeah.
Rancor. No,
Not the Rancor.
Was it a
the
Reek?
Reek and the
Acklay.
Acklay.
And the
Nexu.
Yes.
Nexu. Yeah.
Nexus. So we had those toys for our kids. I don't know how old they were when the movie came out, but we definitely bought the toys.
Yeah.
And that was just a fun. I liked them trying to defeat and outsmart those animals in the arena. And then I loved it when all the Jedi showed up. I looked it up. 212 Jedi fought in that battle.
Wow.
Seeing all those lightsabers light up all over
That
the
was the
arena.
best.
I mean, it was
Yes.
so cool. We'd pretty much only seen.
Mace
2
Windu shows up and
lightsabers
he's
at
like,
the
this
most.
party's over. It's like so cool.
Yes, with a purple lightsaber.
Yeah,
oh my
yeah.
gosh, how awesome is that? So, that's my favorite. So fun to watch.
Yeah, and we saw so many incredible. It wasn't AT-ATs, it was ATTEs or something. I don't
Yeah,
know
the
what.
ATTEs are the clone tank
Like
things,
the six-legged walkers, and then the Separatists had a bunch of cool droids.
Yeah, the Hailfire droids were the ones with the 2 giant wheels and
Yeah.
shoot all the missiles.
And they had the-
And they
I don't know if the
Spider Walker
starships-
things. And
Oh yeah, with the like a radar dish on the
Yeah.
bottom. Oh yeah, there's so much. Yeah, that was great. That was great,
That's-
and there was multiple things going on there because Dooku and Anakin were fighting,
yeah,
and
a hangar.
Yoda in a hangar, and then there's the Battle of Geonosis happening.
Yeah.
Was there a space battle going on?
No, not for that one.
Not for that one.
The Battle of Geonosis, I think, is another cool level on Battlefront.
Yeah, that is.
It is
fun
a
on
very
Battlefront, yeah.
cool level.
Oh,
So, I
fun.
mean, just, you might even like that.
Maybe.
Video
Maybe I
game.
would.
Amber,
Get
you a
into
big
it.
fan of Poggle the Lesser?
I don't know who that is.
The-
I played
the
some
best.
Lego
Geonosis leader.
Star Wars.
Geonosis
He talks
Oh.
with clicks and
Oh. No, those
And he has.
those bug
Does he
people.
have some
No,
sort
I
of
don't-
a thing that shows the Death Star?
Oh,
in
yeah,
episode
yeah.
two?
Yeah.
Some little
yeah,
holographic Death Star. He has the plans, so
yeah.
love that. Amber, great one.
All right, that was super fun going through the round table 5 top ones of Star Wars. And we have more fun coming. We have a quiz that Mark and I are super excited about. And we feel like we want to put that in a part 2 because this has already been a little longer than our average show. So we're going to have a part 1 and a part 2 for episode 27. So we're going to wrap this up and make sure that you find part 2, the quiz, because I think that is going to be a lot of laughs. You can always find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at SegmentsCast. You can email us, segmentscast@gmail.com, and find our episode page, segments.libsyn.com.
Absolutely. And you can look us up and subscribe on your podcast player of choice. We would appreciate it if you would do that. Also, share the show with others. The only way new people find out about the show is through you guys, so we would love it if there's something that you think is funny that somebody you know would enjoy. Just share that on the social medias, and that would be great.
Absolutely. Thank you to Emma for our logo and graphics. You can find her at Of Hauntings on Twitter. And thank you to EDM Samurai for our intro and outro music. You can find him on SoundCloud at EDM Samurai. Yes, that was an intense piece of game.